Hello, everybody, and welcome to AI Biz Hour with Andy and John. And I am sending a uh, invite to my amazing co-host, and of course, it does what it does, which is not necessarily what I am looking for. Today is Friday. No, today is Thursday. What am I talking about? Today is Thursday, August 10th, 2025. Let me see. I'm going to try another way, see if we can get this thing going the way we want it to go. And let's try one more time. My phone, I want to just throw out the window. I was about to get a new phone today. Okay. All right, that wasn't good. And it's always a little entertaining when we have the beginning of the show because things go a little funny. But let's hope that we're going to get this stuff in gear. I see that there's some laughter in the audience. And Andy, are you happening here with the co-host yet? Let's see. I got the computer so I can do it again this way. And geez, this thing just.
All right, we're good. Oh, and by the way, it's not August, it's April 10th. It's April 10th here on the AI Biz Hour episode 109. And we're happy to have you. So this is me covering for John so he can not try to talk and push buttons all at the same time. So he's DMing some other folks and getting some other people engaged and getting them online. Hey, Zoo, I would love to hear your commentary on the tariffs from your command center in Colombia. So if you want to take the mic and we'd love to have a chit chat about that. Google's got some new stuff. Literally between the last hour, Sam Altman just from OpenAI posted on X that they have massively increased the storage in Chat GPT. I know some people love it, some people don't. That's okay, whatever. But the idea is that you can now continue your conversations, and it won't forget. Right now, for me, the way that I'm using AI most of the time is I turn on the voice recorder. John Carlos is the one that actually told me that. He just had his wife just had a little baby just a few days ago. So I don't know if he's going to join us, but I hope so. But anyway, he said, hey, just turn on the thing and talk to it, ask it questions, do things, work through it. And so every evening when I do my walk, I carry a pack with a bunch of weight on it and I go for a walk. I talk to that thing every day, and it does, after a certain period of time, it forgets what we're talking about. And the difference between Grok and Chat GPT right now, which to me, those are the two, because they respond with voice the best. Grok, you have to start a new conversation. So if you're talking to it and you're having a conversation, you're going along and somebody calls your phone and you answer the call and then you go back to Grok, it says, hi, how can I help you? And it starts the whole thing over. And Chat GPT will continue that conversation. So for me, for my purpose, that one seems to be the best. And the only reason I say that is because I haven't found one that I can put on my phone and just keep it going the whole time. And so I can have a conversation with it. The other thing that I do is I actually turn on the voice recorder on my iPhone, and then I talk to the iPhone, and then I copy the whole text, put it into Chat GPT and say, hey, if this was a conversation, what would you ask me? And then I start the conversation from that. So those are the two ways that I do it for having that voice interface. And then I also am signed up for AI Tutor, which is awesome. You guys should totally sign up for AI Tutor, which will give you access to all these other models and all kinds of other things at the same time. And I use the voice there a little bit, but primarily it's just for me to talk through ideas and to clarify things in my mind. And for me, most of the time, it's very simple. If I just had a friend who would listen to me all the time and I could just talk through all the problems like I'm talking to a real human or a real person or somebody listening, then I could solve 90% of my own problems without them even engaging. And so this Chat GPT and my phone saves my wife from me telling her stories and going through the minutia of the stupid things that I think about constantly, just so that I can get them out of my brain, kind of like clearing the cache or closing up. I got 1,000 browser windows open. I need to close a bunch of them. That's the way that I do it in my mind. I just talk through it. So last week so that was some of the cool things. Before we get into the prompts, John, is it okay if we talk to Zoo about the tariffs and what's going on in Colombia?
Yeah, I really would love to hear that. And Zoo always has great insight. He's ahead of the curve. He's there in the goal before the puck or the soccer ball shows up. So, Zoo, can you give us some insight as to what's going on and is taking space in people's minds these days?
Hey John, hey Andy, also Sunny and everybody else. Thank you so much for having me. Um, Thank you for looking at the post. So that's interesting. I didn't expect it honestly, but the tariffs had a positive outlook on Colombia. Now, back in January, Colombia was back like in the forefront of the tariffs. It started with Colombia, if I remember correctly, basically. And the president here is leaning to the left, meaning communist or socialist or something like that, even though not extreme like Venezuela. So let's call him a moderate leftist of some sort, because he kind of did a reaction where, okay, there are illegal Colombians in the USA. Please don't send them like prisoners. Just send them in dignity, something like that. And President Trump said basically, if you're not gonna accept them, that you're gonna receive tariffs. Basically, that was the threat. So it was fine with the president here to receive them. He was more than happy. He created a program for like 40,000 or something illegal Colombians in the U.S. that came back to Colombia, and now they're trying to reintegrate them here because some of them were born there. They don't speak Spanish, some of them, and so on. So okay, that's gone. Now, talking a bit positively about the effect of tariffs, and I do have contacts in Hong Kong and the GBA area, or the Greater Bay Area in China, where all of the demographic concentration, all of the basically investment is, or capital towards strategic investments, for 20 to 30 years, and the demographic concentration of China, basically the sophisticated market. Now they need coffee. They need plenty of coffee, and we do have a mission at my company, basically not only for investors and projects looking for investments, but also for strategic alliances, or basically kind of export import, related matters. So we're looking now at coffee beans having lower prices than usual. Plus, usually the dollar here. So I've been in Colombia 3 years. Dollar here was 5,000 Colombian pesos COP. Right now, it's maybe 4,200 and so on. So it's very fluctuating. But just for you to have an idea, it's much weaker than, for example, the Mexican one, because the proximity to the US does have a lot of benefits. So speaking about proximity to the US, Colombia is not very close to the US geographically, but they're the country with the most American bases and interests and allies in Latin America, or in South America, I would say, after Mexico, I would say. So this is good, even though the president, wasn't on the Trump side. But anyway, other than coffee, also flowers. So the US imports mainly 20% of their coffee from Colombia. And I think the export numbers from Colombia are even bigger, much bigger. Like they rely on the US to import their coffee. So we're gonna see a drop in price of that. Also in flowers, which isn't important. And my family in the Middle East, actually, on my dad's side, we're working in kind of that industry, like flowers, and exporting to countries like Holland and Belgium and so on. So yeah, on these two sides also, the producers are also able to compete more and produce more, the black gold of Colombia, which is the coffee, basically.
Everybody drinks coffee.
Black gold of Colombia is coffee, not oil. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what they call it. Also, I've had the chance to visit La Cafetera, which is a huge region that has basically, a huge variety, not all of it, but a huge variety. And they have, an amazing coffee culture here. I also go to Pavillon for, I don't know, Mexico or Peru and stuff like that. And Colombia really has a distinguished culture in coffee and a huge variety and, uh, notes and so on. It's very interesting. I've never bought the same coffee twice, and I buy one each week, just to give you an idea.
That sounds like I mean, I love the pictures. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, John.
Yeah.
Zoo, I wanted to ask about the tariffs. How do you think, I mean, I know the prices are different. There's all kinds of different, a huge variety of product there, but how do you think that the actual tariffs are going to impact, let's say, like the American consumer buying Colombian coffee?
So at least for 90 days, we're good. And since Colombia was kind of the first country to kind of set an example on, you either work with let's say tariff bullying, let's say, you work with it, or you don't retaliate, or you retaliate and then you're in trouble. If you look at, for example, South Korea, they said we're not going to retaliate, and now they're kind of off the hook. So Colombia too is off the hook. China isn't. Right now I think it's 125% on China, or 140, I'm not sure. But it's like, no, it's more expensive. Like, you're gonna pay more than the price of the good that you're buying for tariffs, which is crazy. Never seen that. Now, I think this chance for other countries is not only like buying time or morphine well in the market, it's also for projects or countries to have a chance to negotiate, which is good. And I think, as I said earlier, with the American bases here, with the alliance with the US, there's a major also the high class, or the versus the lower class, they're very pro US, and I think there's like a way there to. But even if they're not politically matching the current presidency, it doesn't matter, because as we've seen, even a leftist president is not acting, for example, like Maduro. And I don't mean to talk politics. I'm just talking kind of how different countries kind of apply their ideologies. Both have same ideology, but they're not behaving the same. So I think, Colombia being open with the alliance to the US and reliance. So it's like alliance plus reliance. In terms of coffee, at least, Andy, it's be super lucrative. So even though I was focusing on selling coffee to China, and we've been working with actually Colombians who are living now in Canada and working with all Latin America to export all over the world. They already have the North American market as a main market, including US, of course. So I'm going to focus more on that for now and not on China. So as a company, having the choice between these two parts of the world, I'm going to focus on the North American market that sells South American product to North Americans, South American product to Chinese. And if you look at my post, coffee, they're going to drop, coffee already dropped 18% globally. And the Chinese example usually is, we don't care about the quality. Just give me the price for like $1 basically for whatever portion they want. You know what I mean? So they don't care about quality as much as long as it's compliant, but they do care about the price first. North Americans not so much. They do care about the quality, so a drop in price will help, and it's already 18% down.
Amazing. That's quite a change there. All right, John. Thank you so much, Zoo. Let's go back to our originally scheduled programming: prompts, making high-level prompts and other prompts. So let's get all stuff back on stage. We've got an amazing crew listening. Breeze, grab the mic if you can. We've got Alex Northstar, Netta, Tim, Dylan, Kim, Jason, Joe Dell, Jack, Shannon, JP. I mean, we've had some amazing guests this week, and we'd love to hear how you guys are using prompts to make prompts. But back to you, John.
I think he's having connection issues. Yeah.
Okay, well then we'll just keep on going. Let's so here's one of the things that I do for making prompts. I think last week I talked about, I used the LLMs that I have and said, what is the right form are on here? Let me go ahead and put my camera up. So one of the things that you can do when you're trying to get a prompt is I take a prompt, and then the 4 steps that I typically do. The first step is that you create the role. Operate like this, act like this. You are a marketing expert, you're a business analyst, you're a project manager, you're a coder, you're a front-end coder, you do all these amazing things. And so the first step is create a role. The second step is that you need to, while we're getting John back online here, the second step is that you need to create an objective. I'm trying to do this thing. The third step is you're going to do this part of it, right? I need you to create this other detail. And then the fourth step is I want the output to come out like this, CSV file or whatever. Okay, we're going to go back to John. He's back online now. We're going to get him there in a minute. Yes, will do. Yeah, I got you, John. So one of the things we were talking about was that
Can
we
you
were
go into
talking
the
about
prompting for a little
let me
bit,
make
and I'm
sure
going
that
to
the
see if
stream-
I can.
by the way, the live stream is still good, right? The space went away, but the live
Yes,
stream is
will
good.
do.
The YouTube stream is good. The LinkedIn stream is there. I got you, John. If you guys
So
ever
one
get
of the things
stuck,
we
you can
wanted-
do
we were
that.
talking
Hey, John
about
Carlos,
was
thanks for
that we
joining.
were talking
Congratulations
about-
on your
let me
little,
make sure that the
little
stream-
one,
okay,
little one. By the way, the live stream is still
what we're
good.
talking about
Right?
on the
The
prompt
space
side
went
was
away,
that
but the live stream is good. The
there are
YouTube stream is
basically
good. The
the structure
LinkedIn
is there are
stream is
4
there.
parts.
If
The
you
first part
guys
is you
ever
have a
get
role.
stuck, you can
What
do that. Hey,
role
John
is
Carlos,
the
thanks for
LLM
joining.
gonna do?
Congratulations on your
Act
little
as,
little one,
operate
little one.
like, do something.
Okay, so what we're
Second
talking
one
about
is
on the
what
prompt
you're
side
trying
was
to
that
solve. I'm trying
the-
to create
there
a
are
calendar.
basically the
Like,
structure
one of
is
the
there are
recent
4
things
parts.
I did
The
was
first part is
I
you
said,
have a role.
act like
What
a
role
marketing
is the
expert and
LLM going to
social
do?
media, blah, blah, blah.
Act
And
as,
then I
operate
am trying
like,
to
do
create
something.
a 10-week
Second one is
calendar.
what
I
you're
want
trying to solve.
10
I'm
weeks.
trying to
I
create a
wanna operate
calendar.
with this kind
Like
of
one of the
cohorts.
recent
These are the
things I
groups of
did
people that
was
I'm targeting.
I said,
This is the
act
kind of
like a
things-
marketing
let's make a
expert
list of the
and
10
social
most
media,
urgent
blah, blah,
things
blah.
they would
And then
really need.
I am trying to
So
create a
tell it,
10-week
this
calendar.
is what I'm trying to
I
create,
want
and I
10 weeks.
describe that.
I want to
Then the
operate
next
with
step
this
I
kind of
say
cohorts.
is,
These are the groups of people
here's
that I'm targeting.
how I want
This
you
is
to
the kind
create
of things.
it. I want
Let's
you to
make a
build
list of the
this. I
10
want you to
most
do
urgent
this. I
things
want you to
they
make a
would
list. I
really
want you to
need.
do these kind of
So
things.
I tell it,
that's
this
the
is
third
what I'm
step. And the
trying to
fourth step
create,
is,
and I
want it to be an
describe
output.
that.
Here's
Then the
how
next
I want
step
the
I
output.
say
I want a table.
is,
I want a document.
here's
I want a
how
CSV
I want
file
you
so
to
I can
create
copy
it.
and paste
I
it
want you to
somewhere else.
build
I
this.
want
I
it
want you to do
produced so
this.
that I
I
can
want you to
create
make
an
a list.
email.
I
I
want
want
you
a
to
trigger
do these
event,
kind of things.
whatever
So
it is. So back to
that's
the
the
four
third step.
steps
And the
again.
fourth step is
The first
I
one
want it
is
to be an
get a,
output.
you know,
Here's how I want the
a-
output. I
a
want a
role.
table. I want
Give
a
it a
document.
role.
I want a
Second
CSV
step
file so I
is
can copy
give
and
it an
paste it somewhere else.
objective.
I want
Trying
it
to solve
produced
this
so that I
problem.
can create
Third,
an email. I want
tell
a
it
trigger
how
event,
you want it to solve
whatever
the
it is. So
problem.
back to the
Use
4
this
steps again.
information.
The
Here's
first
an
one is
upload. Here's
get a,
the sample. The fourth one
a
is
role.
here's how you want
Give
the
it a
output
role.
to be.
Second
And so
step
you
is
use those
give it an
same 4
objective.
things, and then
I'm
here's
trying
the
to
bonus
solve this
tip for
problem.
everybody. You should
Third,
always do
tell
this.
it how you want it to
The
solve
fifth
the
step
problem.
is you should
Use
say,
this information.
before
Here's
you
an
actually
upload.
execute
Here's
this,
the sample.
can you
The
please
fourth
help
one
me
is
write a
here's
better
how you
prompt?
want the output to be. And
And
so
so
you use those
using that
same 4
method,
things. And then here's the bonus tip for everybody.
I
You
finally
should
just
always do
said,
this.
can you
The
make
fifth
a
step is
prompt
you should
that I
say,
could add any
before
of these
you
details
actually
into
execute
it,
this,
and
can
it
you
will
please
produce the
help me
best
write a
output?
better prompt?
And so then I
And
created a
so
prompt to
using that
generate
method,
prompts. And so now every
I
time I
cre-
go through
I-
that
I
4-step
finally just
process
said,
of here's the
can you
role,
make a
here's my
prompt
objective, here's
that
what
I
want you
could
to do,
add any of
and
these
here's what the
details
output
into
looks
it,
like
and it will
before
produce
I
the
run
best
it, I
output
grab
prompt.
it and I run it through my little
And so then I created a
prompt
prompt to
prompts
generate
filter.
prompts.
Then I
And so
take
now
the
every time
output
I
of
go
that,
through that
and then
four-step
I put
process
that
of
into the
here's the
LLM.
role, here's
And
my
typically
objective,
I
here's
run
what I
it in
want you
2
to
or
do,
3 different
and
ones,
here's what
right?
the
I'll run
output
it
looks
in,
like. Before I run
Grok
it, I grab it
and
and I run it through my little
and Chat
prompt to
GPT for
prompts
sure.
filter.
I like Chat
Then I
GPT
take the
because
output of
I've
that,
trained it to
and then I put that
write
into the
like
LLM.
me. I've trained
And typically
it
I
to
run it in
speak
2 or
like
3
me.
different
I've trained
ones,
it
right?
to
I'll run it in
think
operate.
Grok.
You might
and
not have done that, so it may
and
not
Chat
be as
GPT for sure.
effective as
I
it
like
is
Chat
for me
GPT because
in
I've
generating
trained it
prompts and
to
generating output.
write like me. I've
Primarily,
trained it to
all of the
speak
output
like
that
me.
I
I've trained
do
it to
has been
think
edited by
and operate.
ChatGPT,
And
I
you might have
trained
not
it
have done
to
that. So
become
it
my
may not
editor,
be as
right?
effective as it is for me
You know, Robert,
in
I love Robert
generating prompts and
Kiyosaki's
generating
books.
output.
Robert Kiyosaki says,
Primarily,
I'm a best-selling
all of the
author.
output that I
He
do
doesn't say that he's a
has
writer.
been edited
He
by
doesn't say that he's good
ChatGPT,
at
and I
any
have
of it.
trained it
He
to
basically just
become
says,
my editor. Right?
I write books that people want to buy.
You know, Robert, I
help them
love
solve the
Robert
problems they want to
Kiyosaki's
solve.
books.
And
Robert
he has an
Kiyosaki
editor
says,
and an
I'm a
entire
best-selling
editing
author.
team that
He
helps
doesn't say
him
that he's a
write
writer.
all his books.
He doesn't
So
say that he's
writes
good
the
at
book,
any of it.
and then he gives it
He
to the
basically
editors
just says,
that make it sound great.
I write books that
All I
people
did
want to
was
buy. I help them
use
solve the problems
ChatGPT
they
to
want to
become
solve.
my
And he
editor.
has an
So I've
editor
trained
and an
it
entire
and
editing
iterated the same
team
things now
that
for
helps
almost
him
a year
write all his
using
books. So he
ChatGPT,
writes
which
the
is why
book, and then
I
he gives
like
it to
the
the
best.
editors that make
But
it sound
not to
great.
say that, you know,
All I did
any of the
was
models, DeepSeek,
use
Grok,
ChatGPT to become
Grok with a
my
Q,
editor.
we
So
talked
I've
about
trained
today
it and
Sharon
iterated the same
earlier,
things now for almost a year
ChatGPT,
using
and then
ChatGPT, which is why
there's, you know,
I like it the best.
Gemini and
But
Claude,
not to say that,
and
you know,
there's
any of the models,
literally
DeepSeek,
100
Grok,
models
Grok
that
with
you
a
can get for
Q.
free by
We talked
logging in
about today
somewhere.
on
And if
Sharon
you use something
earlier.
like I do, which
Chat
is I use LM
GPT,
Studio.
and
By the way,
then
my
there's, you know,
prompt to
Gemini
prompts
and Claude,
is a
and
local
there's
run
literally
LLM
100 models
on my
that you can get for free by logging in
Mac
somewhere.
Mini that I
And then
use
if you
for,
use something
all
like
these broadcast
I
stuff.
do, which is I
So
use LM
have
Studio.
LM
By the way,
Studio
my
loaded with a
prompt to
handful of
prompts
models, and
is
each
a
one of those
local
models I run through the prompt
LLM
generator to see which
on
one produces
my
the best.
Mac Mini that I use for all these broadcast stuff. So I have LM Studio
models,
loaded with
they work
a
really
handful
good
of models,
for certain things.
and
The
each
Llama
one of those
models
models
work really
I
good
run
for
through the
certain
prompt
things.
to prompt generator to see which
and
one
then
produces the best.
I also use
The
Dolphin models, and I
the
use
Quen
those for stuff that's
QWQ models, the
uncensored. If I
QWM
wanted
models,
to truly find
they
out
work
what,
really
you know,
good for
what
certain
I could
things.
do with
The Llama models work really good
things,
for
I'm not
certain
going to go into
things.
the black hat today, but
And then
the point is,
I also
you can ask
use
it questions. There's no
the
filters on it.
Dolphin models,
So you can ask
and
it
I
crazy
use those
questions
for
and it'll
stuff
give you
that's
crazy answers.
uncensored.
But
If
I
I
do
wanted
that
to truly
locally,
find out what,
offline, where
you
no
know,
one else,
what
nothing can
I
see,
could do
nothing can
with
touch it, nothing can talk to it.
things,
It doesn't
I'm not going
talk
to go into
anything
the black
outside.
hat today, but
I use the
the point is,
prompt
you can
generator
ask it
on
questions.
my
There's no
local
filters on it.
computer before I
So
then
you can
take
ask it
back
crazy
and put it
questions, and it'll
into
give you crazy
DeepSeek
answers.
or
But I do that locally,
ChatGPT
offline, where no one else,
or
nothing can
Llama
see, nothing
or
can touch it, nothing can
Olama
talk
or
to it.
whatever.
It doesn't talk to
whatever else
anything outside. I
can
use
run
the
on
prompt
that.
to
So
prompt generator
that's how
on
I
my
use
local
prompting.
computer before I then take it back
Creative.
and put it
I
into
haven't talked to you for a while.
DeepSeek or
Let's go to you. How are you
ChatGPT
using
or Llama
the prompt
or
generator
Olama
prompts?
or
What's going on with
whatever,
you?
you know, whatever else I can run on that. So that's how I use prompting. I haven't talked to you for a while. Let's go to you. How are you using the prompt generator prompts? What's going on with you?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Great conversation
I've heard it.
here today.
Explain to me what
You know, I'm
explain
a
it to
product
me like I
engineer.
know
Obviously, I
nothing,
build
because I may
applications,
know
SaaS
nothing.
applications.
Explain it
And I
like to
recently got
everybody as
into
if, you
something
know,
called
just talk to me as if
AI
I'm an
vibe
idiot,
coding.
which
Are
I
you
am.
familiar with that, Andy or John?
I've heard it, but explain to me explain it to me like I know nothing, because I may know nothing. Explain it like to everybody as if, you know, just talk to me as if I'm an idiot, which I am.
You're not, first and foremost. So basically, you are creating prompts to create an application, a landing page, a website. So you don't need to know any code whatsoever. You just have to prompt to be able to build an application. And the applications are using React, native, and there's different applications out there that are building it through a language model. So basically, you're using your prompts. It talks to a language model, and the language model creates an entire website for you, an entire application, the SaaS product with you without you knowing any code. And this is something that we're seeing spread out pretty quickly. And the reason why I say this is I recently started doing vibe coding, and there's an organization called Lovable, which is pretty popular that a lot of these applications are being built on. And I entered into a hackathon, and out of 3,000, I placed in the top 15 for products launched. And again, I'm pretty new to this entire process of creating with prompt engineering. But what my project was, it's exactly what you're talking about, right? There's a lot of people that are building businesses, but don't really think about the full scope of what we call the vision, the user journey, the user experience, the UX, UI, the features and functionality of what you were just talking about. What is it going to look like? The data, the APIs, whatever. What am I going to interact with it? The business model. How is this going to make money for my product, right? Well, who's my target audience? And then also branding and visualization. So as someone who builds applications through a product engineer, I usually ask all these questions ahead of time. But when people are building applications, sometimes we don't think about all these questions and so forth. So I actually created a product for the hackathon that placed, internationally for the hackathon. It's called Blue Mint AI. And what it is, you log into the application and it takes you through a form that takes you through the journey, the branding, the questions. And then what it does, it exports, it takes your values, talks to in AI, it takes all of it and it export as a software engineer. What is the actual, how would I say, the specs of what you're trying to deliver? What is the product? What is the value? And gives you that entire, what I call a blueprint of requirements. And what it does, exactly what you talked about, Andy, it gives you an AI prompt of actually how to create the application. So then you can take that and put it into Lovable or Bolt and actually build your application throughout the process. So that was the big issue that I had across. And just like you're doing, I was like, how can I simplify it? How can I just take my ideas and be able to generate it through all the prompting and all that organization? And just like you said, as a excellent, award-winning,
So essentially you took the product
software
ownership
engineer, product
perspective,
engineer, how would you take my
created the
ideas
list of
create a spec for
requirements
them hand it over
and
to the
constraints
development team
for
to
the
start building
product.
out? So
And
that's
then
what I wanted
use
to tie
that knowledge.
right in line
And
to
I thought you said
what
pod
you were bringing
coding.
here
So
today.
when you said vibe So coding, essentially I you know took that. the product ownership
Which is cool, right?
perspective,
And then,
created the
let us
list
know
of
if you're using,
requirements and
Windsurf or
constraints
Replit or
for the
N8N
product,
or any of the
and
other
then
kind of
use that
GitHub
knowledge.
repos that you can just,
And I thought you said
automatically do
pod
that.
coding. So when you said
Um,
vibe coding,
And
I know
that,
what
but
vibe
I love,
but which is cool,
okay,
right?
so
And
for
I'm,
everybody
let
listening,
us know if you're using,
please
Windsurf or Replit or
put this,
N8N
write this
or any of the
down.
other
Put
kind
this
of
in your brain.
GitHub repos that you can just,
Coding in
automatically
the
do that.
future is going to require
And
two
yeah,
kinds
but
of skill
I
sets.
love
The first
okay,
one
so
is what
for everybody listening,
Al's is
please
talking about.
get
It is
write this
overall vision
down,
of
put
what
this
the
in your
product
brain.
does and who it affects.
Coding
And
in the
then there's going
future
to, and you
is
can
going to
create,
require two kinds of
you
skill
can go
sets.
right from
The first
I
one
know
is
nothing,
what
I have nothing,
Al's is
to a
talking
proof of
about.
concept.
It is
very,
the
very,
overall
very quickly.
vision of what
And
the
then
product
the
does
next
and
kind
who it
of
affects.
design engineering,
And
software
then there's going
engineering
to and,
side
and you can
is going to be
create
taking that concept
you can go
idea
right
and turning it
from
into
I
an
know
enterprise
nothing,
value,
I
right?
have nothing,
I can
to a
create
proof of concept,
let's say a financial
very,
transaction
very
model
quickly.
that would pull
And then
data.
the next kind
and
of design engineering, software
thing,
engineering
check,
side
it
is going to
can
be taking
accept
that
the request,
concept
it can
idea
check the account,
and turning
it
it
can
into an
validate the
enterprise
account's
value,
still
right?
active, it can
I
validate
can
that the
create
funds are available. They
let's
can
say a
then
financial
authorize
transaction
the
model
funds,
that
send
would
the
pull
authorization
data
back to the original
and
vendor,
do
and then
a
approve that.
thing,
Cool.
check,
We can build that in
it can
5 minutes
accept the
using all these
request, it can
tools.
check the account,
But
it can validate the
can't
account still
run
active, it can validate
Visa
that the funds are
level
available,
enterprise
it can then
transactions
authorize the funds,
on
send the
that
authorization
design
back to the
because it
original
just won't
vendor,
work,
and then
right?
approve
It'll
that.
break at a
Cool.
certain
We
point.
can build that
And
in
so if
5
you're gonna
minutes
start to do
using all
a
these
million
tools.
transactions a
But
second,
we
like
can't
Visa or
run
MasterCard does,
Visa
you're gonna have
level
to take the
enterprise
same
transactions
conceptual product
on that design
and turn it into
because
an
it just won't
enterprise.
work.
That's a
Right?
whole
It'll
different
break
world.
at a certain
And you're
point.
going to have to have
And
a
so
whole
if you're going to
different
start to do a
product
million
vision
transactions a
on
second,
what that
like Visa or
what that looks
MasterCard
like
does,
from a transaction
you're going to have to
model
take
to
the same
a
conceptual
million-a-second
product
transaction
design
model
and
and
turn
then
it into
design
an
the rest of the
enterprise.
activities
That's a
around it.
whole different world.
And
you're going to have a
it's
whole
still both
different
valid, and you can still
product
use AI to
vision
do it, but
on
it's going
what
to take
that
two
what
different
that
kinds
looks
of
like
thinking.
from a transaction model to a million a second transaction model, and then design the rest of the activities around it. It's still both valid, and you can still use AI to do it, but it's going to take two different kinds of thinking.
Yeah, completely agree with it. I think this approach with the Blue Mint is for the startup circle. So if you have an idea and you want to get that idea out and get to an MVP as soon
Nobody
as
wants it.
possible to see if it works, if it's market value.
Oh, nobody
The last
wants
thing
it.
you want to do as a startup is try to build an entire platform application with all these features, and you realize that when you roll it out to market, no one's using it. The user experience is not there and so forth. This way you can actually get an MVP out, get user feedback, start that iteration, and start building on that approach to then you're able to get data and make better data-driven decisions. So then when you're ready to full scale, Andy, you have a workflow, you've got a process, you already have a formula, you already have something cooking that you can take iteration to, like a bigger product, and GitHub it and take it to Cursor and so forth.
Yeah, if we're talking about business comes, most people have the idea of business in kind of a strange way. They think if most people think business operates like the movies. You build a product, you go in front of a bunch of people, they all go, yay, here's money. And then they give you money, and then they cut the scene to jump ahead. And all of a sudden, a year later, you've got a warehouse and a bunch of people and trucks rolling out. It's just not the way it works. 99% of every single product that's ever been developed ended up in a trash heap in someone's garage because they didn't go about it the right way. The right way to do it is find people who have an urgent need to solve a particular unique individual problem that they need solved right now. And then you tell them, I think I can solve that. Do you want to give me some money for that? They give them money, then you go build a prototype or find something that solves their problem, and then start to build the entire distribution network around either delivering it to them or delivering product at an enterprise scale. That's the right method for doing things. That's the right order in which to do things. And the problem is that most people have the order backwards, and they believe in the unicorn TV show, like the Hallmark business model. It's just not going to work.
It doesn't work like that. And, you have to sometimes people learn the hard way, and you spend a lot of money doing it that way, right? You spend a lot of money paying developers to try to ship something fully skeptical that comes to find out it's not market value. And you didn't understand the user experience. You didn't understand what the real pain points were, right? So I guess getting that initial feedback in the very beginning that you talked about, Andy, and building towards that is the minimal viable for startups to get launching for businesses.
It's interesting. I'm working with the Innovators Think Tank. I was accepted into their incubator program, and so currently we're right at the period where we're going through the assumptions, and I'm reaching out to possible customers and asking them a series of questions to find out exactly what one thing we need to show that we can do well, better than everyone else. Amazon started a bookstore, didn't start as controlling all kinds of things. So what one thing. And I really am realizing the value of the exercise. And to your point too, I find that go close to at hand to start finding solutions for things that your friends are having problems with, that you're having problems with, and it's really going to be it's really amazing. Vibe coding, somebody defined it today as using language to code. These are LLM models, so you're putting together a prompt that is solving that is doing a function. One thing that I came up with recently, just as a side note, is I've gotten Grok to become somewhat of an AI agent just by creating a prompt that has multiple steps, and within those multiple steps, it was refining the output, and then redoing it, and it basically turned it into an agent just through language, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of us are using ChatGPT, and we're building our own little GPTs, right, that are working really well. But how do you take that to be an application? How do you build a SaaS product around it? How do you connect Stripe and so forth? So that's the next part, is that now you got a good product that works for you. How do you take it to the next level? How do you build that MVP? And like I'm just saying, vibe coding is a way to get it out.
Yeah, I asked that same question in December. And Ross from Tech and Schools, who's in the listeners, right? Ross ran me through a demo and showed me how he, with the AI tutor tool that can connect this piece, he pulled in N8N. He said, okay, Claude, do this cool thing, make this look like it. Oh, and then we're going to add this in. Okay, now add a Stripe. And then this is where the API goes. And can you add this thing in? We'll do it this way. And it was mind-blowing to me that you could produce an output by basically describing what you're trying to solve, and then the tool will add the things in. And just to be Captain Obvious, it's not actually thinking anything. It's basically saying, I know, oh, somebody else did this. Let's go grab what they did. Okay, well, now we'll apply it to this part. And somebody else did this other part where they applied that to Stripe. And then here's how we use the Stripe thing. Okay, grab that part. How do they work together? Okay, well, this is how somebody else worked them together. So we'll just put, and so it's this amalgamation of all of the amazing, cool things that us humans have solved over and over and over and over again, and has turned into, and by the way, that was 3-4 months ago. I don't even know what you guys have got now. It's
scary,
shocking. It's, well, shocking, but cool. I mean, seriously, like you can wake up in the morning and have new toys every single day. Anyway, let's go to Dylan, and then I'd love to hear from Ross because he just jumped into the speakers.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, everything that's been said, I 100% agree with. I went from never coding anything in my life to a year later, now I have a fully working iOS app that's in closed beta that is past Apple's crazy, rules they have set in place to even get anything on there working right. So it is possible. You can really vibe code your way to a fully fledged product. And the great thing about if you start learning how to do these React web apps and things like that, it's getting easier every week. Like for instance, today Bolt just announced that now they have Stripe integrated into their platform. So if you want to vibe code your next SaaS in Bolt, well, now you can plug in Stripe directly, and now you have like a actual working business, right? That was sort of a bottleneck for a lot of people.
Dylan, what are you doing about security, and what are you doing in case the thing breaks? Do you have a professional coder that you're kind of working with that's going to be there in case something goes amiss once it gets out to the public? I mean, that's one thing I think is the vibe coding is great, and doing the prompts, say proof of concept. Yes, I got an agent that does this X, Y, and Z, but my thoughts are before I'm going to take it to market and people are going to pay me and have an expectation of services rendered for a price, I want to make sure that I've got support that in case something goes wrong, someone's going to be able to handle it before it goes to market. Have you gotten to that point? Did you cover that? Or do you believe that the platforms you're building on has a solution?
100%. So I think it depends on what you're building, right? So for instance, when I'm building an iOS app, yes, I have a developer that is basically going through everything, making sure there's tying up any loose ends, right? Or anything that I don't know that I should know. But the good thing about when you're going the app route, as far as through Apple, they also check everything as well. So by the time it gets through Apple and gets okay to be on the App Store, you're pretty much golden. And the way that I have set it up, I've made sure that that it's no one's information is getting out. It's all secure. There's nothing on the app that anyone could get or anything like that. So, but of course, it really depends on what it is you're building, right, and what product you're doing. I think if you're just building a web app, you need to probably have a bit more security on what you're doing, especially if you're dealing with things like users' information and databases and all that kind of stuff. That's something that you're probably going to want to get a developer in just to make sure that you're crossing your T's, dotting your I's as far as safety goes. But I will say is like in regards to just vibe coding in general, it's insane what you can do now just talking to Cursor. For instance, the other night I was trying to crop a bunch of images out of one image, right? So I had an image that I took of a bunch of documents, and I wanted to crop all the documents separately out of it. And I was like, man, I wish there was just a cropping tool where I could make a selection over each image and then just have a multi-crop in one button. And so I made one in like 5 minutes just to solve that one problem. Like that to me is the awesomeness of vibe coding.
Can you put in the purple pill the tools that you're using? Jason just asked the question, what are people using for small businesses 10 plus to build reliable workflow systems that integrate N8N, custom copilot, power automation? What others? I think Zapier is great. I added Make AI, which Alex discussed. And if anybody else has answers to these questions, please go to the purple pill and throw it in there. That's really the point of the community, is for all of us to learn from each other so we can do what Dylan's doing and bring things to market. Sorry to interrupt you. Please continue. And then anybody else who wants to speak, who's up here, everybody, we know you all, so feel free to chime in.
I was going to say real quick, and then I'll jump down. Yes, there's make.com. There's all these ones, right? To like plug and play, different apps and services so they all work together. But if you want like real, just basic automation, and you don't want to learn all these apps and stuff, there's a thing that a lot of people are using called Go High Level. I would look into that. It can do a million things, but it can do really good automation for businesses. So if that's something you're looking in specifically, I would say check that out. That way you're not having to like learn NAN and all that stuff, because you can learn it, but it's definitely a learning curve, right? So just want to throw that out there.
Let's go to Ross. Hold on, Alice. Ross, give us the latest on what's going on. I know you like upload and make changes all the time. What's the latest going on in AI Tutor?
Hey, what's up, Andy? I was just out running some errands and I saw the space, so I figured I'd hop in. But yeah, no, just like lots of different things going on. The biggest thing is we are upgrading our API to handle up to 10,000 page PDFs. So when people are building workflows with our API, they really truly have no limits, which is really crazy. But I don't know who asked it because I can't see hands or speaking, but the idea of turning a system prompt or an agent into a SaaS is probably one of the most lucrative things anyone right now could do. And whatever platform you use, it doesn't matter. You can code it the normal way or use, for example, our workflow API, which is pretty crazy and totally free. So you can try it and basically turn any prompt or agent into an actual SaaS. And you don't really have to vibe code it because we actually give you the SaaS platform. So you can actually just fork it on GitHub and build the entire thing. It's already built. One API key and like 200 models, and you can make your own workflows and literally launch your SaaS within a day. And then you can use Cursor or anything else to change it and make alterations. But I think it's really important when you build that you build with security. So I like that you brought that up. One of the things I noticed building with no matter what model is it loves to do the most unsecure way possible just to make it work. And sometimes that's not what you want to do, especially with web apps. With iOS, it's a little bit of a different story because it's like a container almost, an app. But when you're on the web, you definitely should be careful and ask a friend if you don't know about security or anything like that, or come to Idea to Impact, where we literally teach you guys how to build and keeping security at the top of the conversation. But as far as AI Tutor, just lots of models, man. And we are about to launch real-time voice, where you can just talk, like sort of like what we have with Glyph, but more intertwined into the whole app. So you'll be able to like record a conversation that you're having with real time and go right back to chat. But I think the biggest release for us right now is our API. The AI Tutor API is the easiest way to build a SaaS app in about 15 minutes. It's so easy. And I think you also
so Ross, let me just get this right, because I'm looking at Alisher's post that he just put up, and it has arrows to the API. So that means the agents that I created in Multibot now have an API that I can put in directly to any kind of app or whatever and get it to work from there. And you're taking care of what on that end?
So we actually handle everything from the inference to all of your model access data, to the storage, to the API calls, and to the secure API calls. And you can manage them all without coding, just by going to the workflows and just making a workflow. And now it's publicly available. So you can actually go to AI Tutor, sign in with a free tier account, and click API, sign up, and you could start making a workflow right now without actually putting a credit card anywhere.
I'm gonna play around with that today. That sounds super exciting. I see we have other hands up. So Owl and then Sonnen. And if you want to finish up, Ross, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. I just want to say hi, and I just hear a lot of people talking about going from prompts to like SaaS, and I think it's lucrative, and I think you guys should do that, whether you use our tool, our API, or not. I think it's a really great idea in this golden age time opportunity that we have over the next few years.
So John, I'll just tap into this. One, double down on Zapier. I love Zapier, one of the best tools for business automate workflows. Big fan of that. Around the security requirements that you talked about, that is like the number one thing what people are kind of like looking at vibe coding differently because of security. Because by default, these applications are not building with the best security around it. So what I did is I put inside the chat a security requirements checklist that will help people that are coding for them to identify them. One of them is around authentication. The other one is row level security and policies, the secret keys of like your APIs and your tokens, data handling, what we just talked about, front end and back end client side rules, and then attack surface, and then login monitoring. So these are the kind of the top 7 that I have found when I'm building vibe coding that I take a look at, and maybe I can write a prompt and say, hey, based off these securities, am I compliant? Are we following these regulations? So I just wanted to tie into that security because that is a big thing to talk about when we're ever building applications and also dealing with people's data.
You should post that so we can put it in the purple pill and send it off to all the people we have here. Because even if it's just the outline and framework of how to think through it, that's probably just enough, and that's probably valuable too.
Yeah, I put it in the bottom chat, but I can make a regular post to help. But just want to again double down on what you're talking about, John, and someone else, Dylan, talked about the security. Like I love that you guys are talking about that, but here's some things some real action items to get people here today to look at.
Oh, thank you so much. And I just want everyone to know, go to the Purple Pill this Sunday, April 13th. Shannon and Zoo and Tim are having an amazing space, capital, and infrastructure. It is always the smartest space here on X in terms of business. If you're at any level of business, you really should attend. And Zoo, after Shannon speaks, I would love to hear what are you doing with AI and any kind of prompts that you're using. I just because you've got a great mind and you're doing a lot of things, I'd be curious to hear if and what you're doing with AI. Shannon?
Hey, how you doing, John? How you doing, Andy? Everybody. Okay, I was away from the phone an earlier conversation building apps. So in terms of the AI, if you're building AI as a silos, you will fail. I can tell you immediately. The problem is that now with the capabilities of the AI, defendable model is the must. So if not, no one is going to be invested. No one will be able to scale. The problem comes with the actual data we are manipulating through the AI. So how genuine is the data you collect through your app? Is it the email, first name, and everything you can find, or find a good scraper and so on? Or is it really something that can be future proof for positioning? Either you are going to be part of the PE setup, VC setup, your own scalability vision, and so on. I think that there are 3 elements right now that can power up AI businesses. What's that we are building? Is it just an integration where I can ask I don't know, whichever one model, I don't know, create an email for me and send it? That's going to fail. In short term, yes, there will be gains, but when it comes to scalability, super hard. The best case scenario is an exit, and this exit is going to end up on some of the buyout and sell websites we already see. Another thing is investing in teams. The best example is DeepMind. Google bought that company not because of the stuff they've built, but because of the super exceptional team when it comes to the development, when it comes to the AI, when it comes to all of the elements of it. And third one, I would say security, what you all agreed. because it's not about security, your data leaking. It's about security, your data not being poisoned by the outer data. The problem that appears recently, and I'm for the last 2 weeks speaking here in Europe with a very, very good private equity funds, and I've been asked about this because of the way how we integrated and licensed stuff from our agents into the SaaS that we have. If the AI is not directly connected to the financial KPIs, no one is going to place money there. So if we are doing something just so it's being part or extension or whatever, it's easy to copy. And we can see this ChatGPT versus DeepSeek. We all assume somebody copied someone. And then every model, as they're growing and growing, they're becoming more and more similar. So we are ending up in more proficient prompting, more accurate prompting and stuff. Is this investable? Yes, for the big companies, we are using their models because there was a dry powder which was sitting down for 3 years and it needs to be released. It's either released by the demand or it's released to create new economic measurements or values. And I think now it's going to be even harder because there is coming, actually that's something I started doing with my firm in Frankfurt. The valuation of AI goes way much more rigor and in way much wider spread than how it was for SaaS, how it was for fintech, how it was for any other, let's say, branch or vertical of the industry or industry itself. So today it's not I'd say, okay, what people are going to buy. It's more about where it's going to end up. And something I mentioned on some of the previous spaces, are we building an asset or we are building the business? Business probably is going to like end up an exit. And sooner than later, asset is going to stay there, and asset will probably have one of the three things I mentioned: the solution, the team, and then the security in terms of the how data is done. So having these things in mind, over 50% of existing AI is going to end up in red market, and they will disappear by end of the 2026. And this is the feedback I'm seeing from the financial institutions I'm in connection with. So we need to be very much smarter. Sorry for this monologue. I just wanted to like bring the entire scope, how it really looks. It's not like just let's do these things.
So Shannon, I was reading this article about this. It was actually this woman, I forgot her name. She's on the All In podcast. She's been a very successful investor, and she looked at this game and she realized that the value in the game, it was one of these things that had like like three-dimensional things all over the world, and you had to find them. And she said she realized that the value of the game was the data that was being collected by people walking all over the earth and doing these things. So how do we determine as builders, maybe we have a tool that's a teaser to collect the real pot of gold? And what is that pot of gold, without giving away the whole show, that we want to look at to see if we can build it, the teaser? Is that the right way to think of it?
Hey, thank you, John, for mentioning that. And data is now cash, not money, not value, it's cash. For example, in Taxeroo, let's say that you're a client of accountant who is using Taxeroo. Taxeroo contains not only first name, last name, and blah, blah data. It contains, let's say, number of assets you have, addresses of these assets, the value of these assets, the tax returns and everything. We, as a vendor, by regulation, we do not have access to this data. We are not supposed to have, but we do have two disciplines. One is the freemium model of the software, where you comply with our privacy policy. And the second, through the analysis of the system usage, and then pulling the information as an insight, which is absolutely sellable. So that's the part of the AI integration and securing the data. The game, I think what you mentioned is really on. And the biggest I'd said the biggest thing here is not about collecting data. It's about the future coming of the data. What it can be used for later. What's the foundation? So okay, I have email from Andy, John, Dylan, Creative, Tekken, Jason, John Carlos, and Zul. It means nothing. But if I correlate behavior and customer success levels of this data, where I can articulate, okay, this is sellable, this is something people are going to be interested in, this is the actual value. So you're literally becoming a micro gardener where they will come to you. Hey, I know that you're collecting this like nonsense data, but like we want to have these insights about your particular vertical. And that's the thing about AI. AI is going to succeed big time in verticals, and that's why data is like cash now, literally cash now.
How is there a quant? If you are skilled at creating things that can come up with determinative outcomes, do you need 1 million users? Do you need 1 million data points? Could you create something with 5,000 data points that has an extreme value?
Okay, this is going to be longer and complex answer. I always believed, and I did have this personal fight and then fight with everybody else, big data versus the right data. I solely believe in right data because with the amount of the data we have out there, either it's bad data or trash data or however we call it, we can rebuild data. And this is something I shared earlier. Through a couple of valuations, I've seen that they don't have an accurate customer acquisition cost. Okay, I pulled last 3 years and did the math. I found their CAC. Now, based on this, I did an undervaluation, but I also have seen how the customer acquisition cost impacts the operational efficiency. And is this business valuable as a whole? It doesn't matter what's the revenue. It doesn't matter what's the profitability. It's something where you want to create value creation with this. Now, in terms, is 500 data points relevant compared to the 5 million? I'd said it is possible, but here you need to have a talent to recreate the data you need. So you have a good foundation. Now you have to build on it. And that's something we already see where smaller AI companies are really, really giving the big headaches to big boys. So yes, you can do plenty with the small data, but it's way much more complex than just running the big data.
That's really interesting. It is 1 minute to 1. Andy, I would like to give the mic to you.
Fascinating conversation. I love this. Keep going. You guys have a great day, and I will be listening in and listening to the replay. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Andy. Son, and if you want to finish that thought, or we'll give. I saw that Jason had your hand up, and so either Sonnen or Jason.
Oh, please, Jason, go. He was waiting for long already. Sorry for that, Jason.
Yeah, so I jumped up because of my question. So right now, one of my biggest gripes is that we're making all these like workflows and plugging in like 10 different applications all together. And we're really making like complicated, hard to use, hard to scale like systems out of these. So I'm looking for like a platform that scales well. And I think it's a hard problem to solve because it's the model that we've kind of went into, but it all comes down to security too, because you take data from one platform and you push it off to the other one, and each one's got a different privacy policy, and it's just like we're really making a mess. So I'm trying to think of ways to build workflows that are maintainable and also flexible. So yeah, that's a little bit of a follow up to the post, but yeah, so that's all I have.
And Jason, if you would, could you talk for a minute about the Discord server? Jason put together a Discord server for AI Biz Hour for devs, and it's a place where we were just having a conversation today. I've had multiple conversations lately that the old system of resumes and people be showing up for job applications or to do something based on a resume is starting to get a little antiquated. And so we're trying to kind of find a solution for this. Do you want to go into that for a minute, Jason, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So we have a Discord open right now. It's got a basic. So if you're interested in developing for AIs, then you can put your role to that. It'll put you in a private channel so we can have talks about that. There's a breakout if you're just building against APIs and you maybe aren't building anything that is really tightly knit with it, but you're making calls to something like OpenAI or Gemini or something. It's a little bit different, but still you're developing. So we have two categories there. And then there's also a place where business-minded people maybe are looking to connect for someone that is doing work in AI, and you can find the right person. And over time, we want to build a little bit of a pre-vetted community that if you are in certain channels, then anyone that's in there you can trust to be who they are, or who they say they are, and kind of cut out that interview resume stuff. But there's always going to be a sense of that. But if they're in there, then they're at least well respected in the community. So that part we haven't built, but it is kind of a long-term goal. Right now, we're still getting people into the Discord and figuring out how we want to do the vetting. I didn't meet with the gentleman that was going to work on it. We had kind of talked about meeting one of these weekends, but our time zone's a little off to overlap very easily, so we're kind of working on that. So yeah. And then I'll get a Discord link invite dropped in the chat. Or the ball.
Excellent. And I'm going to give you a plug, Jason. Jason is a great, amazing developer, and he's got some tools out there. And Jason, if you just want to tell everybody kind of what your specialty is, what you're doing, and who would be the ideal person if they were to reach out to you to have you solve a problem for them.
Yeah, so my career's been around building enterprise internal software to help manage departments and teams and how they work together. So that kind of is why I was kind of griping about all these systems that we're building that link together. It's very hard to scale them and interact with and kind of make automations and code that works without having to learn a new platform. So kind of a side note on there. But right now, I currently spend a lot of time doing consulting for businesses. So I'll kind of come in, look at their processes, and try and make a system that kind of sucks from their brains what the different departments do and turn it into like a validated, trackable piece of software so you can build your company metrics. So but I've been focusing on the consulting side of that, but we built on top of our platform that I'm now trying to make a branch off to as a software as a service. So right now we're doing our alpha. We have a really bare bones CRM, and we're about a month and a half away from having our Zapier integration because that's on the pipeline. And then in parallel, we're working on integration with AI, but that is going to take a while because I'm wanting to convert our data model, not convert, but use a vector database to help make it easy to interact with LLMs and also be interacting with your data at the same time. So rather than having to copy and paste it to the AI. So that's our big project right now. So, but yeah.
Thanks, Jason. Jason's been huge amount of help, and really, really respect what you're doing, and really appreciate it. And just to do a little house clean, this is the AI Biz Hour with Andy and John. We have a website, AIBizHour.com. I hope you go to it. We also have a newsletter. If you go to my account and click on the newsletter, the beehive there, you join the newsletter. What I'm doing is I'm taking an agent that I created and kind of condensing these shows, because we get a lot of very good information on these shows, and we make it available to people who are part of the newsletter and part of the community. And in time, we plan on having some events that are in real life person, where people get to meet each other, and it's get to build relationships even further, because really what the space is a networking space where there's actual relationships that are being built outside of the space in real time, because people have a shared focus on AI and business and how they can bring their ideas to market. And there's people that are vetted through various ways where we can get to know them and start to, have a great relationship over time. So that's my little spiel about that. And so I'd hope that you go join the newsletter, and you can go to my profile and you can become a member of the AI Biz Hour community. And that's that. Now, I see that there's some people in the audience. Ross, do you want to go into anything, or Sanan or Jason? If not, I was doing some marathon 3-hour spaces a couple weeks back, and I can't do that anymore. I'm gonna hold it off for about an hour at the most, but if there's no conversations, I mean, I can just talk. I don't know if it's entertaining or not, but I see Ross has his hand up here, and I'm just curious. I'm thinking maybe if I have telepathy, I could actually read Ross's mind. So he wants to talk about APIs. Am I right, Ross? Did I read your mind? Please let us know.
Kind of. But I want you to try something. So once I get back to my office, I'll shoot you a DM, and you could try it too, Jason, if you want. We basically just launched today this like amazing RAG API system that will work in your systems. So it could take up to 10,000 pages in one document, which is wild. And it works on any LLM, on any system. So when you said your CRM looking for a RAG solution, you should try this one, Jason, and see how it works. It's pretty crazy. And I'll give you an account and you could play with it. It has a free tier too, so everyone could try it, honestly. But it's a really good way for you, AI John, if you want to upload like a bunch of PDFs and have it analyzed, you could do this now for the first time. Like we're talking 10,000 pages max.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to give it a try for sure. And that's, I use my AI tutor a lot. I create agents with it. It has a lot of absolute helpful elements about it in terms of adding files to various things and having access to pretty much every LLM out there, which helps. And I'm able to do, and one thing that I was talking, I'd like to ask Sanan if you want to talk a little bit further in terms of what you believe has value. You mentioned that so Zoo had a statement which I repeat all the time: 0 times 0 equals 0. But if you have certain specific skills and you have a high level understanding of prompt engineering where you can create repeatable outcomes based on things that are very specific, is that where there's going to be value? And then if you combine that with being a feeder for data that can have value to enterprise companies, is that where you can really bring something to the table where investors would have interest in it and see a long-term play?
Oh yeah. So value is not something I'd say. So here's the thing. Many failed startups are actually superior, like amazing, abnormally positive and huge foundation for everything good to build on. So it's not only, let's say, my customers are looking for this, my customers are having problem with that. I don't know, the integration with existing company and so on. The value can be created later on. So let's say prompting. Personally, I don't see it as any value. But if your app offers the prompting for qualitative analysis purposes, where people are going to say things which you can pull and analyze and provide the value, that can be huge pile of money for investment. Here's why. In US, we have 300 and I think 86 million people. The opinion of the nation is measured based on 2,000 surveyed people, and that's the standard. So somebody will come out and randomly select 2,000 people because of the resources and everything and so on and so on. And they're going to create a decision or opinion or thinking for the rest of us. Now imagine with prompting app that pulls this qualitative analysis of people giving opinions or particular things. So occasionally you can drop the pop-up. Hey, what do you think about this prompt? Behind the prompt is the actual question which is going to lead to purpose of that pop-up. If you come up with this kind of the solutions, that's an insane value. That's an insane value. So people will not go to, let's say, the survey houses and stuff. They will come to you. Why? Because you can enable them to do plenty of the things. And if you have noticed, almost everyone, or at least majority of the people, do like these infographics. Oh, in US, milk is the most popular thing. In China, I don't know, this is the most popular thing. In Europe, they like, I don't know, bottles with the detachable caps and stuff and so on. So prompting can be the value, but this is proof positioning for later. To get there, you need to have people to start, I don't know, prompting and doing it. And of course, I'd say this is pre-scale or even scale phase, which will require huge amount of cash, huge amount of capital to really make it successful till the end. I hope this example makes sense. And
yeah, so that's kind of, I mean, I guess I've heard that, but I never really thought about it. So the surveys that all these polls that the that the Treasury listens to, that all the major departments of the federal government here in the U.S. listen to, that C-suites listen to, is all pooled from pretty much no more than 2,000 people in any given subject at any given time.
Yeah, that's the standard. That's the standard. I mean, it's on a Google.
Wow, that brings a whole lot of interesting ideas to play. And so what do you think with all the prompting that's going, like ChatGPT? If you do a Google trend, ChatGPT is, I don't know, maybe 50 times more used than the other LLMs. They just have a better marketing program. Everybody's heard of ChatGPT. People go to use ChatGPT all the time. And so all of those prompts that are being thrown into it is the money.
Yeah.
All the queries.
That's why they raised easily 40 billion. And they are like NGO, not even the LLC or LLP or any kind of the C Corp or corporation in general. Now imagine the power of all of the prompts once they legally support it and get into the money game, the actual money game.
And it could probably legally assign something. Then they could create synthetic data based on whatever they're seeing as a trend. And so then they're not, they don't have to get permission from everybody to use their data. Is that kind of how the game's played?
You don't have to. So the problem are humans. You don't need to have permission from anyone. One of the strategies, for example, that I used with the legals in a couple of companies, I mean, we can call it dirty, but it's not. It's actually completely legal. I will write in private policy, in a privacy policy, actually legal team will write that we do hold all of the rights, even collecting your data being third part. But to get your approval of using it is that in that same privacy policy, we will write, okay, the moment you open the email, you consent. It's your problem that you're not reading it. Everything is written there, and it must be.
And no one's going to
So,
question it because they want whatever service you're going to give to them for free. Nobody believes that there's any value in their own privacy to a certain degree anymore. It feels like.
yeah, that's true. Like, so people love free stuff. Free stuff through history are the most expensive ones. And if somebody gives you something for free, they do have expectations. And I love to use this brutal example. Not even our moms are giving us birth for free. They expect us when they get old to take care of them. So free stuff, don't take me wrong, but it's for stupid people. And unfortunately, most of us, we are stupid. It's
Well,
literally mafia game.
Say that again.
It's literally a mafia game. Like, we are going to protect you and then you give us money for nothing because we send our boys to break your vitrina.
Yep. Yeah, that's you know, and it's
the
we're kind of
freemium model. Sorry.
yeah, it's people are pretty conditioned now to accept these things without question, and if they see their friends or whatever, everybody's like herd mentality. That's that's the case.
That's exactly something. Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Please finish what you're going to say.
So that's exactly what earlier I said about. I think there was like 2.3 or 3.2 trillion in a dry powder, and that's the money that was not being applied to the market. So we were forced into the technology, and we are always forced. Okay, here is your free trial. Go ahead, start using it. And one of the best examples I've seen in my entire career, in my entire life, was Pipedrive. So I picked to use their software. I like it. I love simple things. I really love simple things. And I'm always saying this, and sorry if I'm struggling somebody because I'm going to repeat. If your technology requires me to become an engineer, it's completely useless to me because it's not that I do reject to learn new things. It's that I don't have time. And then we have the mastery of the product, which is very common measurement, especially in SaaS, for how long it takes to user to learn your software and to really run it. Now, what happened, they gave me 1 month for free. I love it. Then I received the email, okay, if you, I don't know, share the stuff, give us a referral or suggest a friend, you will get another month for free. Of course, I love free stuff like everybody else. I used the random email. They gave me another month. Then I'm receiving email at the end of the second month. Here is another month from us for free. Awesome. These dudes are fantastic. So I ran the third month, and then when fourth month came, all of my data was in. So how I'm going to export everything? How I'm going to export, I don't know, deal pipelines, the client cards, prospects, cold leads, hot leads, all of the stuff, recorded calls, like everything. But it's not only that I'm paying that subscription, I'm paying for add-ons. Like, to be honest, let's take a look at our phones. What we are using the most? Calls, SMS, and web browsing. So in general, we don't need that much this technology, but we are forced in. That's how AI is forced on us, and everything that is coming. But we are blindfolded because of the hype. Oh, we have AGI, ASI is coming. Then we have the chip wars, then the quantum chips, that quantum is coming here, and so on. And all of these things to distract us from the actual happening. I'm not trying to be like theorist or any kind of that bullshit. I completely disagree with any of the things, but I'm just sharing from the business, from the fun type of the concepts, how it's done. We came to our clients, okay, do you want to use an AI? And the response was, no. Do you know what the AI stands for? And then our CS was, yeah, please tell me. Artificial idiot. Then he explained to her that imagine everything you are typing, you can just tell it. Then imagine that you have an old client who forgot the glasses, who forgot a driving license, tax ID, or whatever, and they need to go through the survey just so you can charge them. And the more time they spend, the further payment comes out for you. So would you like to speed it? Oh, I love that. I want to use it for all my 70 members. That's how things are going on and happening. And I say it as a good, as I'm in a business, but most of the tech we have out there is completely unnecessary. But we need it.
Yeah, I would imagine that maybe 5% of people know all the things that you can do with Microsoft Outlook, and and actually use all those add-ons and everything else. And meanwhile, Microsoft, they have every company that's using Microsoft 360. That I would assume that Microsoft can make an agentic agent for every by road activity without even the company asking for it, just based on all the information that they already have. So they definitely have a big advantage. But from it seems to me like a lot of these companies are checking off they have AI, and the output that it's providing really isn't that great, but it's a feature that everyone talks about, and they're doing it. I was thinking that maybe if you can bring in superior products that do really better repeatable outcomes, that there might be some value in it. But you don't think that's really the way to go with it, right?
I mean, okay, so I'll say this. If AI is built as silos, it really doesn't make sense. It's a toy. And by silos, I mean it's just part or add-on of the software or the actual product. Like I mentioned earlier, oh, you can now go and, I don't know, draft the email. Amazing. In our vertical in tax and accounting, we are not the biggest company, but we are the most advanced company. And when we did run competitive advantage, we've seen the movement. Oh, now you can write an email with an AI. No, we're not gonna do that. We are going to integrate everything into the entire system. So it's not only about running AI, running the email. Go ahead, pull me out the customer base, analyze it, give me the best clients we have, and now tell me how I can target clients like this based on which 5 points that they're sharing. So this helps to our agents to run the marketing. Okay, to whom we are sending the emails and how and so on. This became extreme operational efficiency, and I think I shared this earlier. For 28,000 users, the company is run by only 2 men. That's the value, and I think this can change everything with an AI implemented as an operational efficiency element. And now, when I'm going through the financials of the company, wow, it's impressive, like beating down week by week 40K in upselling, cross-selling opportunities. And that's what's going to start to happen. Now our competitors are literally spying at us, sending us trash and all of this crap. And what we did, we just gave them a 30 minutes to try the agent with 0 instructions, because we are defending our system by one-on-one and group trainings. So you can sign up with us, and our CS guy is going to show you how it works. So whoever wants to copy or do whatever, there is no way. And I think this type of the businesses will succeed big time with an AI. Not because I'm saying my business is the best. No, it's not. But because what we did, I've been approached by so many PEs here in Europe. Okay, how we can do this and that. And I think the new big thing is not going to happen anytime soon. And this is something, John, we discussed earlier, how everyone who is introducing AI into their product, they're doing it under the table. Hey, we just introduced this new feature and so on. So I hope, like, sorry for this like big monologue, long monologue. I want to kind of to give the background and
No, I
yeah.
really appreciate your insight. And so to strategically find out where the value of using AI is, don't share it with the world and create a moat around that so it can't be accessed by other people. You can transcribe anything that's on the internet now. You can do all kinds of things and blah blah blah. And so it's a part of the job is to make sure that whatever you're doing is there's a nice moat between that and any competitors or any inquisitive minds. Is that correct? And then we'll go to the yapper.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just to add one more thing, we also need to be careful with our actual data, and when we give to the model access to the internet, it can poison our data, and there needs to be controlled security bridge. So the data we work with, which is the key asset right now of any AI that exists on a planet, must be clean. And this is also another thing I mentioned the other day, like what's done to the Google and Gemini with all of these posts and stuff to poison LLM, pulling out the different I don't know or unexpected answers and so on and so on. So yeah, you're right.
There's no way, as far as I know, that LLMs are able to determine garbage from quality. I think we discussed earlier. I think Google actually has 20 years of trying to figure that out, and has a much better track record with their algorithms than anything out there in the AI world right now. And you can manipulate information pretty easily based on some things. The story with the Russians creating 300 million websites or 300,000 websites of pure propaganda to move the needle on some minds. And then the other day when we had Graham talking about protecting your own cognitive moat. I mean, soon there was Robert Scoble had a video where he was at a car show, and there was a guy who had his glasses that had cameras in there and a microphone, and he could collect movies and data. But at what point, when you're that connected to an LLM that we don't understand the human brain, but he was mentioning that, but we do understand how to manipulate it. And where are people going to be? And most people they don't think, they'll just accept whatever comes down the road. And so yeah, people that I don't want to say it, but yeah, people that have less barriers of discernment might not be those that you want to spend the most time with. I guess that's how I'll put it. The Yapper, how are you?
Oh, I'm not bad. How have you been?
I've been doing good. Very, very busy. It's 1:30. I think I'm going to close up shop pretty quick. But what do you want to bring to the conversation?
Oh, I was just gonna kind of add what Shannon was saying, and just kind of add it in another way. Much as a hammer needs someone behind it to swing it, an AI also needs someone behind it to swing it. We like to automate and leave and let go, but a lot of AI is hallucinating nowadays, and this is the biggest issue where you're seeing a lot of people backing off now due to the hallucination. But that doesn't mean that you can't still use AI as a hammer to build a mansion. And I think that's where people need to reevaluate the narrative that's going on out there that, oh, agents this, agents that. I mean, yeah, they're really cool, but even RAG messes up when you're building a huge system. Like I said, I work a lot with doctors, dentists, and stuff like that. Also, a lot in regulations with bigger MLMs. Places we're talking to is Herbalife, and so Amway, and so on. So this is where you're talking about millions of users, or at least hundreds of thousands. And it really comes down to AI. If you let it just go, it's going to hallucinate. It's going to tell you things. It's going to say it doesn't have this information. It's going to say this. So look into MCP, guys. That is the way. Start venturing into that. Start looking into that. RAG is nice, but really go into MCP if you're building these big systems and you actually want to implement yourself into a system. I shared a screenshot of one of my agents. That usually takes a person 2 days or 4 days, depending on who you are, to do that. I can now create that in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes with just an agent that creates another agent through MCPs. I could order a pizza. I could tell my agent to be created in 2 seconds and order me a pizza, whatever I want. I could do multiple things, actions now, with not just having the RAG and prompt. So look to expand yourself. All this space is, and I keep saying this, and I'm going to drill it into everyone I talk to, is about standards. Always keep up on the standards, and you'll really know what's going on in this space. That ends my yap.
Thank you, Yapper, the Yapper. So when you're saying NPC, can you just kind of define
MCPs. So what MCPs are is everything is about widgets and APIs on an agent. And all a RAG does is it pulls knowledge bases off of a word or off of a something. But imagine when you're looking at your bank account and you hit Venmo in that little corner where it pulls up Venmo. All it's going to do is highlight everything Venmo. Well, what if at the same time I want to look at PayPal, but I don't have PayPal and Venmo highlighted in that little thing? Well, this is the same idea as an AI agent. When you
can you just define what N? It's N Nancy.
No, it's M for Mark, C for Carl, and P for Patty. It is the new standard. If you want to make any kind of agent that does multiple things, that can, like from our dentist office, we schedule, we talk about insurance, we tell them what cleaning, then we could call them, we could upsell them. One agent, like if you look, Andy, I sent, or John, not Andy, John, I sent in the purple bubble, one of my agents. Each one of those bubbles that you see in that screenshot is about 5,000 words or more of different actions and prompts that we want it to do according to what the person on the phone does. Because a person could call happy, a person could call sad, a person could call mad. So these are everything you want your agent to interact with that person differently according to how that person's tone of voice and talking. And you could do this with open API real time, like ChatGPT, open source. A lot of this stuff that they say isn't out there, guys, it is. But what MCP is doing is everything's about APIs, everything's about widgets. So it is allowing you to just grab an API or grab a widget, and it will pull from that site, or it will pull from that object. Like it will pull from, let's say, Go High Level, or it will pull from N8N, or it will pull from Zapier.
Okay, so are you is master control program orchestrator? What?
Pretty much.
I
Yeah.
still haven't heard you articulate what MCP stands for.
I'm not an articulate kind of person, so I'm just explaining in a dumb version. And I think people should go out and Google it and study it themselves, especially in this space. I'm not trying to create a narrative. I was just adding what I do, and that's why I say MCP, because people still believe RAG and stuff, and there's still a lot of people that like that. But if you are creating your own agents, you should know standards, and that's a new standard in this space. So I just wanted to share the standard. I'm not a technical person. I have devs for that. I stay in my lane. Nothing against you, John. This is how I am.
No worries. I appreciate that. Excellent. Well, I think that we're getting into the time where it's time for me to go. I really appreciate everybody who shared and spoke. And again, this is the AI Biz Hour. That's the name of our space with Andy and John. And it's myself, John Allen Stroger. You can find me on LinkedIn, and Andy Wergadal is the co-host. And we are doing our space Monday through Friday for the next coming, I don't know, 3 to 5 years, maybe 10. We'll see. Maybe it'll turn into something huge. Maybe it will just be very focused. And so the main thing that we're looking to do is to get to know each other. It's a networking place. We have Jason here who's created our Discord server. Please go to my account and sign up for my newsletter, where I take our spaces that I'm transcribing, and I whittle them down to the important things that people can use, actionable information for yourselves if you're using AI in business. So the space has some value that we offer everybody. If you want, you can go to my account. You can buy me a cup of coffee or buy me lunch if you feel like I'm bringing any value, which I know I am. People show up again and again. It's so nice to see the people that show up here. I'm very humbled by everyone. Want to really thank Sanon for all of his insights on business at a high level, as well as Andy and Zoo was speaking earlier. Zoo, if you want to grab the mic and tell us a little bit about how you're using AI to do whatever it is that you do, I'll stick around for that. Or if Mr. E wants to give in 2 cents, I'll stick around. But if everybody just wants to hear me rap, or just, I'm not much of a rapper. I can play a song that I wrote, but it's actually, I can't do it here too well. But I do have some artwork. I'm kind of an eclectic guy. I have a background. We had a band called Idiot Box in New York, and way back in a long time ago, and we were asked to be the house band of CBGBs. I was very young. I think I was underage at the time, and that was the tail end of CBGBs, when they're like all the Talking Heads and the Ramones didn't really play there anymore, but there was still something going on. Then I played at the Viper Room, and I've played at many places in Los Angeles. And actually, the song that I was going to play was produced by a friend of mine who produced some Alice Cooper albums. Sanon, I see you got your hand up.
Oh yeah, give us a song as an outro.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna have to here. Let me get this. I was going to. This is a song that's here. Let me see. I'll tell you a little bit about it. I wrote it from one perspective, and then I changed the perspective because of someone that I knew. And it kind of goes. It's a song about one of the things that aren't very pleasant in this world, and that is the abuse of women, because it's a man's world, and women get taken advantage of more than they should. And if anybody has had the love of a great woman, you realize that they're very important to human race, and to men in particular, kids, and all that goes with it. And so this is a song. It's kind of a play on things. It's called Hollywood. And the producer is Rick Boston, who's produced many Alice Cooper albums. And the singer and songwriter is myself, and I'm known as Johnny Bass. And so let's hear what you guys all think of it.
Oh, I can't hear anything. Is it me or can you guys hear John?
Oh, you can't hear anything? Uh, okay, here we go. I'm at my wit's end with this whole setup. We're gonna do it again. I hope that you guys, but here we go.
Oh, again, I can't hear. Yapper, Jason, guys, can you hear him?
I cannot.
All right, here.
John, I also sent you a message about what MCP was in a more technical way, just so you had it.
This is hilarious. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear your voice.
Oh, okay. Now we're gonna try it one last time. I find this. Okay, here we go.
Ah, no. Nothing again. Maybe voice cancellation is causing this.
You can't hear anything, huh?
No.
Oh, that's so crazy. I've I've got a tool that supposedly records or plays what I'm playing, but when I turn this thing on, I apologize. I'm going to put the song up in the Purple Pill. It's called Hollywood. You can listen to it on your own, and I'm going to find a way to make this thing better. Let's see if I can even get that going. But I apologize. Everybody can listen to it on their own, and I'm going to fix this thing because I really want to add some music to our show, so it's just kind of a multi-layered thing going on here. And one thing is that everybody knows that spaces have some glitches, so I think that I'll get some understanding about this. But I'm going to put it in the Purple Pill, or I'm going to put it on my account, and it's still. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Now it goes into the Purple Pill, and thank you all for your patience. I there it's now posted. It's the devil's farting in the desert, and the song is called Hollywood. Love to hear what your thoughts are on it. And Shannon, I see your hands up again. Is that for do you have a question or you want to say something?
Oh, no. My hand was not up. Oh, sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, it was a bit of a hilarious ending to the show. I'm sure a lot of silence. So I guess you could hear the song however you wished. But now it's up there in Hollywood, The Devil Farts in the Desert. And that's written by myself with producer Rick Boston. And also he actually produced Ricky Lee Jones' album, which won some Grammys. And I do know that we do have some people here in the audience that were musicians to pretty high level. I didn't realize it that Mr. Vladimir Robots worked with some Grammy Award winners, and it seems to me there's quite a few people that are in marketing and digital stuff that are musicians. There seems to be some kind of connection between the two. But tomorrow is Friday. We have a special guest tomorrow. He's called Jack of all trades. He is a manufacturer. He's actually a business. He's in charge of business development for a company that manufactures robotics for manufacturing companies. Been in the manufacturing industry for more than 25 years, and he uses AI on a regular basis, and he's creating solutions with AI. He's very smart. He's worked with big companies, Honeywell, as well as Bosch, and other big projects, multi-million dollar projects. And the company is very successful at what they do, as well as himself. And he's really kind of getting into AI at every level. I'll be having an ad for him on my post starting in a couple hours. And so I hope that you join us tomorrow. It's going to be a great show. Please DM myself or Jason if you are a developer and you want to become part of our Discord channel, and where you can show off your chops, and you'll be vetted, and we'll find out what you're made of. If you're a very competitive person, I highly recommend you give it a try to see if you can get into the inner circle within the dev community and with our community. And also, please, if you're doing anything with AI in business, or whatever level you are, come here and grab the mic sometimes. When I first started doing spaces, I was very self-conscious. I was very nervous, what have you. Everybody is, I used to play live all the time. Well, I haven't played in a while. When I get out in front of a stage, I know I'm going to be a little nervous, and it takes me a while to get kind of over that, and then to kind of get into the groove where you're in the flow state and you're not really thinking and you're just being. But I highly recommend, the currency is to be able to articulate, to share your ideas concisely. And those that can do that have a huge advantage over others. And that's one thing that I really love about the spaces, because now I can talk pretty fast without thinking and know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't say as much anymore. And I am finding ways to articulate ideas without distraction. That's what I'm hoping to do. I don't know if I'm achieving it. I'm trying. But I hope everyone out there tries. Sannon's very good at that. Zoo is very good at that. Andy is very good at that, and as well as Juan Carlos and some other people that we have in the room. And I believe that it's a skill that you should really work on. And so next time you're here, grab the mic, maybe write down what you want to say ahead of time. I always write. I have a notebook all the time at this space, because there's a lot of gems that are shared, a lot of really good information. Today's, there was some heat. There was some really quality, valuable information, but it's up to you to figure out what that was, and to kind of rifle through and to have a note, or to go back. I think that's why we have so many people that listen to the space during the recording of it, or maybe they see it twice. And if you do listen to it twice, please, we're providing value and you're showing up. Please give back, because I am giving. Okay. And the way that you can give back is in the purple pill. Tell us why you come here. What are we doing that's solving your problems? Share with us some information so that we can make the show better. I'm not asking, you don't have to pay money to show up, although at some point we will kind of do something like that. But in terms of having a subscriber type of newsletter or something like that, and then we might have some events or whatever. But pay a little bit forward. Go out of your way to share with us what we're doing right, what we're doing correctly, why you continue to come back, how we can make the show a little bit better. Be as useful to this space as I am, and Andy and Sonnen and Zoo and everyone else. I mean, I hope I'm not offending anyone by saying that. And if I am, I think we all should be offended a little bit more. I think that's the problem with the world, is people are running from being offended, because that's one of the greatest ways that you can actually learn, is to like stub your toe or get a little sock from the universe here and there, and then you realize that to pay attention to things. So I noticed Nancy's really giving the emojis, and Juan Carlos, and I can't even believe you're here, Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos just had a major life change, and he is showing up. But put your focus where your focus needs to be, brother, because it's important right now. It's a big deal in your life.
Hey man, the work doesn't stop, man. I just got off of a client call, and both my wife and my baby are sleeping right now, so I'm getting the work in where I can. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. And you got grab the mic. What do you want to share with everybody? Also, Juan Carlos is super helpful. If you'd like to give a little plug, tell everybody what you do, what you're looking for, who would be the ideal person to reach out to you. I'd love to give you a minute to share that with everybody.
Oh man, yeah. I was actually just hopping up just in case y'all were going to be talking a little bit longer because I ended up having to hop off for the client call. But I guess if anything, two things is as a new dad, I'm going to be sharing. I'm going to stick with like 45. It's going to be 45 days in a row of kind of posting of obviously my new dad insights. So I'm encouraging, asking, and inviting any and all fathers, whether new or old or veterans, I don't care. Whenever you see those posts, go ahead and drop whatever insights you have. They're going to be themed based off of a certain topic or whatever kind of lesson that I'm, either learning or even just struggling with. Obviously, probably the latter one there. But yeah, I'll be dropping a post about that here in probably like the next hour or so, just like a little announcement, and then you can expect those every day. But the other thing on the other side, and like I said, business doesn't stop. I'm actually going to be updating my email newsletter. Right now, it has a email welcome sequence that has two different playbooks. Well, one of them is a full playbook. One of them is more of a guide, if you will. And I designed that about a month ago, and it was meant to be a high value kind of newsletter. But then I took that and I was like, man, I really want to do more. So I've got some premium services that I'm coming out with. One of them is going to be an acquisition program. The other one is going to be a retention program. So if you're in business and you're, struggling with acquiring companies, the four stages that I'm sorry, acquiring customers, the four stages that I break that up into is that you're either starting, pivoting, you're scaling, or maybe you're just stuck. So that's fine. Either way, those two programs are going to be with that. As an interim kind of concept, I'm going to be replacing that 4-day email sequence with a 30-day email sequence. And inside of that, I'm giving away, I think it's like 13 or 8 different tools, digital tools, if you will, that are going to help you with business. They're all going to be based off of, either making decisions, weighing the pros and cons of certain things, implementing AI into certain workflows, just a various a variety of different kind of tools, if you will. That is going to act as a free lead magnet to a complete clarity toolkit. I have a pinned post that if you want to go check that out, go ahead and send me a DM. Let me know if you're interested in being an early tester. And I'll leave it at that because that is my ask here. I am looking for people that want to test out the complete clarity toolkit. I got to polish up a few things. It is a toolkit of about 25 to 30. I got to double check digital tools that will help you at various stages of your business, whether it be acquiring customers, retaining customers, doesn't really matter. It's all focused on clarity, both for you and your customers, because if your customers don't have clarity over what you're offering as a business or how your product or service benefits them, then the only clarity they're going to have is when they're actually going to stop working with you. And that's when your money starts to go down. So, like I said, if anybody wants to be an early tester to the Complete Clarity Toolkit, just shoot me a DM about it. Happy to get you in there. But yeah, John, I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm gonna send you a DM, and just you are the clarity coach, and just curious. So, what specifically are you using? Kit? Are you using Beehive to do the 30-day feed? Do you use another tool like Mailchimp or something? Just
Yeah,
curious.
definitely Kit. I like Kit a lot. I've been with Kit before they were Kit. They were ConvertKit at the time. I think my iPad actually has a home page, like a home bookmark, because it's a website, and it still says ConvertKit because I added it all that time ago. But yeah, it's a great platform.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm going to send you a DM, And thank you for that. It's you're always bringing clarity, and it's important. Our brains are being fried from this social media. I have a, everything has a good and a bad edge. Nothing's one way or the other completely, and the social media is really got its things that aren't so great, and it's got things. The only thing I think that's really great about it is X with these spaces where you can actually get to know people and build relationships, because I believe that's where the value of anything is in relationships. And by hearing people's voices and getting to know them, that's a wonderful introduction. And also, I did post. I took it down, but I might post it again. Was a Freebird from All In Podcast, just talking about how their podcast. I mean, these guys are very successful, and why do they do it? He says that again and again. He comes to meetings, he shows up, and people take the sign and they say, "Hey, I love your podcast. I think it's great and everything." And so all of a sudden, he doesn't have to worry about building trust with people, having to get them know them, understand who he is. It's all been done by the podcast, and he says it's really helped his business in a huge way. So grab the mic, speak up, get to be known, build a brand. Or however, I hate that word, kind of build a brand. I don't know, that's my own problem, but just get so people know you and understand who you are and what you do. And I think that'd be helpful for everybody. So I'm just going to stop talking. It's 1:56. We're going to end it for the day. Thank you so much for showing up. Really want to say thank you again for all the people that spoke. Juan Carlos, Shannon, Jason, of course, the Yapper, Andy. Zoo is not here, and then there's a lot of other people that are here. But thank you again. We'll be talking to everybody tomorrow. Have a great evening.